Hey College Success, as I mentioned in the end of my week 4 video, I said I would come back and do a video just geared towards your final project. That way it would be a little easier for you to find whenever you need it. Now you've had access to your final project directions for quite some time if you kind of clicked around and looked at them. If not, that's okay. I'm going to go ahead and get into the week 4 folder right here. And you'll see that it is mentioned in the assignments. Now, final project steps 1 and 2 does not mean that they are due this week in week 4. It simply means you are encouraged to start steps 1 and 2 so that when the final project is due in week 8, you are not scrambling to get everything done within a matter of a couple days. So this way you can hopefully, pace yourself and get a few things done ahead of time. So I'm going to go ahead and go into the materials area. And you'll see there is a link for your final project. So that'll open up into a Word document, and here it is. So when you go, maybe some of you have already looked at this. If not, that's okay too. When you go, you'll see there are 5 steps for your final project. Today's video is just going to focus on steps 1 and 2. But you're also going to see that there is the rubric. This is the actual form that I will use to grade. So you can kind of look and see, hey, did I get all these points? What would I give myself before you turn it in so you know kind of if you're on the right track. All right, so if I had you in class, you would create this project in a PowerPoint and you would present it to the class. That's obviously not happening right now because we're not face-to-face, so you're still going to put this into a PowerPoint. You're just going to upload it and submit it to me via a Dropbox. So what I would encourage you to do first is open up a blank PowerPoint presentation, and I would say, here on this first one, for now, just final project, and then go ahead and get in a few title and content slides. Just get those ready to go. And we are just focusing on steps 1 and 2 today. So, whoops. Okay, career description and career pathway. Those are the 2 we're going to talk about. So I labeled those, and you can change them as needed. I just kind of like to encourage students to get like the skeleton, so to speak, of the project started. So that's a little easier as you go. So it's all going to be in PowerPoint format. Step 1. You're going to provide a description of your career. Now you'll see that this entire project is career-based. So for some of you, easy, no big deal. You already know what career you're going into. You're a couple semesters in, or your first semester, you already know what you want to do, and so you already have your career picked out. You know what you're going to focus on. A few of you might still be CCP students, or maybe you're just not 100% decided. You can use this as a way to explore a career that sounds interesting to you. So this is not going to require you to sign up for any classes. It's not tying you down. Just use it as a chance to explore a potential career that you might want to look into further down the road. So pick whatever career, whether it's because it's your declared major, or maybe it's because it's something you're thinking of going into, or even if you're thinking of changing your major, you can use this as a way to explore that major. Step 1, you're going to give me a description of that career. I like to tell my students, try to describe this career as if you're talking to someone who has never heard of a physical therapist, a teacher, a nurse, an accountant, an IT. Talk to the PowerPoint, enter in the information as if you're describing it to someone who's brand new to that field. And what you're doing in that description is just responsibilities and tasks that you're going to be required to complete as someone in that field. It's going to be approximately a paragraph in length. So when you go here, right here, career description, you're going to type in, your paragraph there. Now, where do you get this information? There's one of 3 places I'm going to show you, although you're not limited to those places. The first place is Career Coach. So we talked about this in a previous week. So if I get to my Starkgate homepage, down at the very bottom, there's a link for Career Coach right there. And you already took your assessment, so you could log in if you wanted to, or you can just go right to Browse Careers. My goodness, my typing today is not great. All right, I'm going to type in physical therapy. Let's say I want to be a PTA. So I'm going to click on that. It's going to give me a real quick overview, but then if I go into About, there we go. That's going to give me kind of my details. So I'm going to click on Show More. there's all the different tasks that someone in this field is going to be expected to do kind of on a daily basis. That's one place I could go as career coach. I can also go to someplace called the U.S. Bureau of Labor Statistics or the BLS.gov. Once I get there, top hand corner, type in physical therapy again. I'm going to hit search, and I'm going to go, since I looked up PTA, I'm going to go to PTA again. Here we go. I get another quick snapshot, but then what do they do? And here we go, a list of all the duties and tasks and so on. So that's another potential source. I'm going to give you one more. It's called ONET Online. I saved this one for the end because this one is a little bit overwhelming. There's a lot of information here. So it's kind of like if you needed to fill in some blanks, so to speak, because you can see like this, just a lot of text, a lot of information. Now, what you are going to do is synthesize this information. So maybe you want to use one or two of the sources. So you're going to look and see, okay, well, what does Career Coach say about this career? What does BLS say about this career? And then maybe just kind of, maybe anything overlaps, put those together. What I would recommend you doing is anytime you get information from these sites, write down the website, the date, and any information you got for, or print out the slides. If you want to print out, you can usually print out the page and write the date that you got that information from, because you are going to have to cite these sources. And so if you pay attention from step one, day one, and you write down where you got the information from, it's going to be that much easier for you when it comes time to cite, which I'll talk about in a later video. Another thing you want to make sure you do, or in this case, don't just highlight and copy. That is called plagiarism. You are not doing that. You have to paraphrase. Look to see, maybe you're using a couple different sources. Again, what's the overlap? What do a couple of the sources say? And then in your own words, type that career description, and then on your reference slide, which should be a few slides from here, you'll give credit back to that resource, and it's going to be an APA format, and I will, again, talk to you about that in another video. So that's step one, is your career description. You are just telling me what tasks and responsibilities someone in that particular field would have. Now, if you wanted an example, here is one from this past spring semester. The student did graphic design. Here's their career description. So there's their paragraph that goes over what they have to do in their particular field. So that could be helpful to you. I thought I had one more here. That's all right. I'll have to get it out later. So that is one way that you could do, like, hers is graphic design. Obviously, it's going to be nice and kind of tidy and pretty. But there's her career description, just a paragraph telling about what their job does. All right. So again, I use Career Coach, BLS, or ONET Online. I am not copying and pasting. I am paraphrasing, and I'm writing down where I got the information from, which source, so that I can give credit back later. And it's going to be approximately a paragraph in length, talking and writing as if someone, my audience has never heard of my particular field before. That is step one. All right, step two, career pathway. So this can be in the form of a list or a flow chart, a numbered item, whatever you want to do, because it's literally just saying, okay, what steps do you have to take to become an XYZ, a surgeon, a teacher, an ophthalmologist, whatever the case is. So there's an example in here. If you want to be a surgeon, you have to get your bachelor's, and then the medical field, take the MCAT, go to medical school, do residency. So lots of steps. Some of you may only have 2 steps. Some of you may have 6 steps. I can't really say for sure how many steps you're going to have because it all depends on your career. So again, if we look at kind of our example, scroll down, here's her career pathway. So she used kind of these symbols to guide us along what she has to do as a graphic designer. So what you'll do in your PowerPoint, here's your career pathway. And so maybe you're just going to list. Maybe you'll do symbols, whatever you need to do. So career pathway, some of you may say, okay, associate's degree, and then you have to take a certification exam, and then you're in. Some of you may have to do associate's degree, then bachelor's degree, then licensure, then internship. It just really honestly depends on your field. Now, to get this information, I'll encourage you to go to those same sources. Go to Career Coach and click under, it says tasks, and then it's going to give you an idea of the education levels and the skills that people need to have to get into that field. And then here in Occupational Outlook Handbook, I apologize. Teaching from home is a joy. How to become one. This walks you through the education and training, licenses, certifications, and then if you go to the ONET online, there's also information in here that talks about kind of the education and the credentials that you have to have. So Career Coach, depending on what field you're in, may or may not have that information. It may talk about it. You know, looks like obviously most people in this field are just going to have an associate's degree and then certain skills there. And then the BLS, in this case, goes into good depth, and so does the ONET online. So you can get that information from those same three sources. So steps 1 and 2, you can get from those same resources, Career Coach, BLS, or the ONET online. And again, I encourage you, please make sure that you jot down any information you get from any source. Do not copy and paste, and make sure that you kind of just track where you're getting everything so it'll make it a little easier for you when you come time to cite those sources. So those are steps 1 and 2. Description of your career, and then an overview of your career path. Again, when you want to, you can kind of fancy this up with different colors and designs. That is totally up to you, but for now, just to have a title slide, there's your career description, 1 paragraph, tell me about your career. And then your career pathway, what steps you have to take to get into that career. In a future video, we'll talk about steps 3, 4, and 5. And again, this is not due until the end of the semester, but I wanted to go over it now. And again, I wanted to show you just a couple of slides of an example from a previous class, you know, the career description and the career pathway. In the next video, I'll pull up another example so you can see it from another student's point of view, so you can see a couple different ways that it's done. Eventually, when it's time, there will be a Dropbox for the final project, so that's how you'll submit it. So again, I really do encourage you, now that we are in week 4, which is the halfway point of the semester, to start working on steps 1 and 2. If you have questions or if anything doesn't make sense, please reach out and let me know. And I hope that this video was helpful. Talk to you next time.